gave us our, view of all the things that we needed to do from the data center consolidation. We also shared this with our customers. Then we also had our customer transition plans. So a customer has to have, we actually have some customers that dedicated their own PM to their customer transition plans that work with us. So, CA, for example, Counselor Affairs, for example, they have many, many systems. So their full-time PMs work with us on how we move those systems and how we migrate them and consolidate them. So that was really key, to make sure you have that plan. Some people were dragging their feet, thinking they didn't need to do that, and they do. They have to do that planning. And then we have the individual systems plan. You have to make sure that when you're getting ready to migrate a system, especially to a new data center, that you've already migrated all the infrastructure that supports that, and that you've migrated everything that that system owner owns that they think they know about to get that system over there, because there's so many moving pieces and parts, they don't always know all of those if the documentation isn't there. So those three things in our project management approach, I think, were really very instrumental in helping us go. Okay, so from a consolidation standpoint, I'm not going to go through too much here on telling you how to consolidate, but what we did is that, like I said, if you are coming into our VM's infrastructure, we have the storage, we have the monitoring, we have the backups, and we pay for all that. But as far as the customer's migration of their apps over, they pay for that. So even if it's on our VM infrastructure, they're still responsible for making sure the migration. We'll help them with it, but they pay for that. Okay. These are just some milestones. It's interesting that we signed a contract in January of 2008 with the data center vendor that we were going to move into. By April, we had the room built out for the data center that we were moving into, the SCIF area. And then by the summer, we had put in all the IT infrastructure, and by July, we were moving customers in a, testing in a production environment. But that's so quick for a leased facility. I mean, it's so quick for any kind of facility. Now, the one that we're building, we started out with the stimulus funding in 2009, and we had to locate the land. And it is on federal land, so we really lucked out, and that made the process a little bit more expeditious. And then we had to go through the contract for the design build, for the construction, for everything. So we have all of those in place now. It has been, and we had to spend all of the stimulus funding by the end of September this year in order to be able to, have the ARA funding. So we've done all of that, and the construction is underway. We think we will move in May of 2012. So and I think everything went right with that project. I mean, everything clicked, even though it sounds like a long time. I'm just comparing the time to build versus the time to go out and lease space. Our business case analysis showed us that one might be cheaper than the other. From a State Department investment and infrastructure perspective, they decided to lease one and to build another. So that's the direction we went. And I'm sorry, go back one. Okay, this is just a slide. I'm sorry. That's good. Okay, I'm just telling you how many servers that we've transitioned. Everybody can have their own schedule. Like I said, we are very consensus-driven in the State Department, so it's difficult to get systems over and to look at the life cycle and the timing of that. But I'm just giving you some examples of where we have been, where we are. Moving our DMZ infrastructure and our internet connections and that sort of thing, that has taken a long time for the East, and we're going to go through that for the West again, but don't underestimate the length of time that it takes to do that. And that is a huge coordination effort in the State Department, because we have our networks, our firewalls are in a different organization. It was coordinating with a lot of people, a weekly meeting where everybody had their project plan and they knew what to do. So I would strongly suggest that everyone you have to bring everybody to the table. Okay, this is just a picture of our row infrastructure. The point I want to make here is that we wanted a really redundant data center at the end of the time. So I'm just showing here we have redundancy in every part of the process that we have. And right now we don't have that. I don't know if I mentioned this, but we were dealing with outages. We still deal with outages in our legacy data centers because they don't have the infrastructure to support what we need. Okay, this is just another slide just showing you that how much we're moving from 2009 was just a little bit, you know, we were really working on 2 data centers at the same time, and then in 2010 we're really kicking things off and moving faster. But the amount of data calls I think I'm trying to say in there is that everybody wants to say, oh, you know, I've got the facilities management people telling me, can you virtualize a few more machines? I mean, they're telling us what to do just to get our floor space down. But on this particular slide, this is like the last slide I have, I believe, but what I'm showing you here is that our consolidation, we're looking at consolidating like 500 systems a year and going out to the 2013 timeframe, and then we start looking at how we upgrade and refresh. And initially, our design build for the West was going to start in 12, as I said, and as you can see, it's running parallel with that system. But until we get that Western data center completely stood up, we're using an old legacy data center for our redundancy because we don't have anything else to do until we get that done. I am missing line 5 here on this slide, but it tells you in the DC area we have 10 legacy data centers that we're shutting down at the end of the 4 years, and that is line 5 that's missing. And so we were leaving the OCONUS, the overseas posts, alone until the OMB data center call came in. And what happened is they said, no, you're going to include the overseas posts, which are our embassies. We can't really do anything with the embassies because an embassy may be shut down tomorrow if something happens in that country you don't know about. And if you've regionalized or done something like that in that country, then you're out. So what we are doing is we're virtualizing as much of the footprint at the embassies as we can, and we're doing that right now. We'd already started and planned for that before the OMB data call, so we're going to continue with that effort. And we're looking at how we can then, can we regionalize? Are there countries that are very stable that we can do that in? Most of the times we've got to leave some sort of footprint there. We can't bring everything back here domestically, so that's really the approach. So when I look at my OMB numbers, it looks like I have 361 data centers and I'm only going down to 200 and something. That's because I have 280 posts around the world that we're probably going to leave some sort of footprint in place. So, and then the last, I mean, this is one of our big data calls right now, and that is, you know, what are you doing with virtualization? Give me your numbers. You know, we're doing as much as we can with virtualization, trying to do hot and cold aisle containment, and that sort of thing. But it's not easy being green, and that's for sure, and I'm sure you all know about that. So with that, David, any questions? Any questions? Yes?
You mentioned the OMB data center call.
Yeah.
It sounds like some type of mandate.
Yes.
Can you give me details on that?
Okay, the OMB is a mandate. It did come out, I think it was April of this year. All federal agencies received a mandate to say, okay, we're going to consolidate data centers across the federal government. And you have, or maybe it came out in January or something like that, and said by April, you've got to give us your initial plan. And then by July or June or July, you have to give us your next version of the plan. And then I think by